So we're pretty much done. There is one last thing I forgot to do, and that is I forgot to address the issue of escaping our HTML code. The assignment even warned me, don't forget to escape your output, but obviously I'm not very good at reading directions. So let's fix that right now. First, let me demonstrate what they're talking about. Here's an example of something that could cause our site to behave weirdly with certain input due to the fact that currently I haven't yet set up HTML escaping. If the user types something like some text and then in the middle of this text content is, let's say, an HTML tag to finish a text area, and of course we're inside of a text area here, and let's rotate by 0 so that this doesn't get changed. And I'm just going to add some more content afterwards. So we have a bunch of text here, and in the middle of this is this. Now, if we submit this form, what we see is the word hello, the second hello, ends up on our page instead of being in the middle of the text area. And we can see, we can kind of see why that happened here. If we look at the HTML in the inspector, here's the text area, the code for the text area, with hello inside and then a space, and then this is the one. This is the one that I typed, or that we'll say the user typed in here, ends up becoming part of the coded structure of the document. And just to illustrate this even more clearly, I've made this test.html file, and I'm going to put some HTML, and I'm going to show what's happening here in this file, just to put this issue of escaping in more of a stripped down context, just to be very clear about how it actually, what the issue is. So say I put some stuff in here, got a text area with some content in it. I'm going to say my favorite color is blue because it is pretty. And I can load this file in the browser. And here it is. Now, let's say I wanted to talk about something different. I wanted to say my favorite HTML tag is the end of a text area, / text area, because it is pretty. So I think this makes it very clear what the problem is here. Even my text editor, Adam, makes it clear what the problem is, because it's highlighting this. You know, we intended all of this content to just be content, but the text editor has no way of knowing that, and so they assume that when I say angle bracket / text area, that my intention is to close out this text area that I started here. But really, I didn't want to do that until here. And so if we look at this page now, we see my favorite HTML tag is, and that's it, because we closed the text area right here, and then we just have raw text outside of the text area. So that's not good, because I want to tell the world about my favorite HTML tag. So we need some way of doing this, and so the solution is There are a few special characters, such as the less than sign, the greater than sign, and a few others that they have a special meaning because the angle brackets, for example, mean, in the context of HTML, they mean that you want to define a tag. If you temporarily don't want to be using them to mean that, then you have to temporarily, quote unquote, escape from the context of HTML, and that's why it's called escaping. We're like, we want to say here, I'm sort of making up a language, but it's something like this, like, treat this like just a normal angle bracket. Please escape. I don't want to be in HTML mode right now. I want to escape from HTML mode. And so for a few of these special characters, there often arises the need to escape from HTML mode and into normal mode. And so the syntax for doing that is ampersand, and then each special character has its own little code. So this one is LT for less than, and this one is GT for greater than, and then a semicolon comes after. So this means give me a normal angle bracket and stick it in here. Give me a normal angle bracket the other way and stick it in here. Now if we look at the page here, we get the outcome that we wanted. And so back in our project, we have the same problem, which is that the user's input here might contain some of these special characters, and then our site, if we don't do something to process them and convert them into their escaped representations, then when we send a response back to the user, the browser is going to get confused and misinterpret what we wanted, and we'll see a result like this. So let's just trace it all the way through. So when the person submits, it was hello, text area, hello. When the person submits this, that's how we end up here, and the reason why. So submits that form, which is going to get handled by this post method. And so then this message variable is going to be equal to whatever they typed, which is this, right? And rotation we said was 0. Now this encrypted message is going to be actually just the same thing as the original message because the rotation is 0, so nothing. So the message remains unaffected. And then we pass this into our helper function build page, and it ends up right here. So we end up with something like this in our HTML, and that's how the user ends up seeing this on their screen. So what we need to do to fix that is, we want to see this. GT semicolon. This is what we actually want to send in our response, because when we send this back, then the browser is going to know to interpret these symbols as just text content and not HTML content. So essentially, what we need to do is whatever gets passed into this function should have all of its special characters replaced with the encoding, the escaped encoding for that special character. So basically, right here, instead of passing this directly into the function, we want to pass, like I said, we want to pass this into the function. And this one would be encoded as well. So basically, we just need another middleman variable here, escaped message, I'm going to call it, equals something. We're going to pass that in to the build page. So by the time it gets into this function here, it's going to be escaped, meaning all of the special characters that might cause problems are going to be replaced by their escaped encoded version. And it's actually very easy to do that. There's a function that does exactly that, because this is a very common thing you might want to do. It's defined in a library called CGI, cgi.escape, the encrypted message. So we want to escape the message. And what this escape function does is you pass it a string, and it will go and look at all the characters in that string, and if it sees any of these special characters, it's going to replace that character with its encoded version. And that's pretty much all we have to do. Of course, we need to import this library, CGI. CGI stands for Common Gateway Interface. This library is there. It's pretty old. It's there to do common back-endy type of web operations. So now our encrypted message looks like this, but our escaped encrypted message looks like this. And so now this is getting passed into the build page function, so it's going to end up here, and we are safe. Let's see if it works. Great. So notice how all of the text remains in the text area, and none of it gets confused for regular HTML. And now we are truly done. And the last thing for you to do is to go back to the terminal and add and commit your changes on Git, and then make a GitHub repository and add that repository as a remote to your local machine, and then push your code up to GitHub, and then you can go back and submit your assignment. I'm not going to go over that process here. If you want a refresher, you can check out the last video from the fortune cookie exercise where I did go through that process.